Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. To all of those that have just joined recently and subscribed, welcome on board. I hope you like the research and work that I present here. So let's get cracking on. This is from Artifacts West of Ross on Mars, part 1, taking a look at more of the artifacts from the last video, the same JP2 being analyzed over here. And it's where I found this huge disk, about 12 to 15 meters in diameter. So just a quick refresher over there. Got this huge bright disk, nice rounded edge to it, and then that strange little conical feature close to the center. So the photograph we're analyzing is called USGS Dune database entry number 2434-564. And as always, you'll find the link to the original source material in the description below. Acquired on the 25th of December 2018, and we're looking at 25.1 centimeters per pixel with 1:1 binning. And there's a crop from the low-res JPEG just to give you an idea of what this region of the photograph looks like. And the artifacts we're looking at are these strange white dots scattered throughout this region. Located in the southern hemisphere, 57 degrees 57 minutes south, 116 degrees 44 minutes west in this circular depression over here. And the HiRISE photograph for this has not been loaded yet. So Ross is over here to the left. So let's get cracking on. We're looking at the first anomaly right there in the center, zoomed out, not to scale, nothing else like it in the immediate vicinity or in this JP2 photograph. So there it is, 1:1 scale, and this large, narrow, circular object on the bottom there is about 20 to 25 meters long. And on top of it, we've got that sort of oval-shaped part, which is about 10 meters wide. So we've got more alignment of smaller parts on top of larger structures going on here again, guys and girls. Now we've also got a little dark spot on this sort of crescent-shaped object over there. It looks almost like an eye that's been engraved on this pupil right there in the center. So pareidolia, maybe, but check out the rest of these anomalies, guys and girls. There's a ton of them. This one over here, similar to another object I found. This was in a Protonillus on Mars from our video called Return to Protonillus on Mars. Another one of these narrow circular shaped objects, and on top of it we've got a small little dome-like feature there, and then another strange looking object coming off to the right with this rectangular shape to it. Got 90-degree angles going on there again, and then there's also what looks like a partial crescent-shaped object there with a little what looks like an eye carved into it there. Check that out, another pupil right there in that center. So very coincidental, always a pattern emerging here. Next anomaly, we're checking out the strange cube over there, which measures about 6 by 8 meters. If we zoom up close, we can see it's got nice straight edges to it. We've got some symmetry and geometry going on here to the bottom left, and then a piece comes off from the apex there down to the, and it looks as if it is going into the surface over here. Looks almost like it could be a type of a cylinder or pipe. Look at the rounded part over here to the right. So could that be a little monolithic block, or is that some type of structure? Next object over here to the right, that's about 12 meters wide by 12 meters long. Another one of these pumpkin seed or plectrum shaped objects. I'll show you some more that I discovered in recent videos that I published to YouTube. Very smooth, bright surface to it. Comes up to a nice point to the bottom over here. There's another one. This is from huge pumpkin seed shaped object found on Mars. Also has a bright smooth surface to it, partially covered in sand and dust, and also comes up to a point on the right over here. And this is just another one example of these that I found, guys and girls. Yeah, we're looking at another huge artifact. This one's about 20 meters long by about 12 meters wide, and again, very smooth, flat surface to it. Got well-defined edges, and then this area here seems to be carved out, and in it we've got that hole over there which has a diameter of about 2 meters, 1.5 to 2 meters. And then up to the top, like a pyramidal shaped object there. Rather strange combination of anomalies again. Yeah, we're looking at this region over there, and it's got this rectangular, what looks like a rectangular carved out piece to it, and that measures about 12 by 20 meters. Look at the slot, it seems to be cut into it over there. Looks like this might be part of a structure that's partially buried. Okay, yeah, we're looking at this partial disc-shaped object over there, which is about 12 to 15 meters across. And in its center, we've got that oval-shaped protrusion or knob, slightly curved object, and then up to the top in line with this smaller part there, we've got those two dark spots. Check out the spacing and the geometry again in that piece. And there's some examples of other partial circular objects I found. That's from part 1, the Sidonian Neolithic artists and builders on Mars. And this is from part 3 of that series. Yeah, we've also got the partial disc-shaped object with that oval part on it. And yeah, we've got two next to one another, and each of these has a protrusion or knob on it. So could these be part of a larger disc, and the quarters broke off? Here we can see this one over here seems to have a crack through it there. Okay, yeah, we're looking at that strange object. It looks almost like a carving, perhaps, some type of structure even, maybe even wreckage. That piece is about 6 meters wide by about 14 meters long, and got strange design to it. Check out the hole over there on the one side, and it's got this slot over there to the right, and then it's got straight edges to it there on the left. That there looks like it could be 33 degrees. And this object over here, that measures about 12 by 12 meters. Smooth, bright surface to it again. And here on the corner, we seem to have a piece that's been carved out. It looks almost like a disc over here. And then we're looking at that object over there, which is about 12 to 14 meters across. It's got this sort of hexagonal shape to it, nice straight edges, and on top this rectangular part that's been carved into it there. And there we've got a little triangle. So some type of ornate sculpture perhaps, maybe even little habitat, who knows, with these ornate designs on the roof. Okay, check out this anomaly over here. Another one of these strange objects with a little pyramid on it. That looks like a little triangular part there. This piece measures about 6 meters wide by about 12 meters long. and you can see the strange protrusion or smaller object on it. That there and that dark spot there look similar in diameter, and we've got straight sides over there. Could that be some type of wreckage maybe again? And yeah, we're looking at another one of these hexagonal shaped objects, and each of the sides is about 6 meters long, just like all the others that I've discovered. So check that out. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4 sides. Strange part on top in its center, and then next to it seems as if this might fit together, and the two parts have drifted apart or moved apart. And there's just one example of many, and this was featured on Secure Team's YouTube channel. Thanks, Tyler, for that. And it's also got multiple straight sides, and then in its center this dome-like protrusion. And all these objects I've shown you guys are about the same size. So even these that I feature from other videos without dimensions, they're also about 10, 12 to 15 meters across. And if I recall correctly, each side over here is about 6 meters long. And down here we're looking at this strange diamond-shaped object, which is about 6 meters across. Got this smooth, bright surface to it. Looks like it's slightly embedded into the surface there, elevated on this one side. Straight edges to it, and got some symmetry and geometry to it as well. And then this to the top left looks like maybe some type of structure that measures about 12 meters across, and it's got this strange opening over there to the right. Look at the straight edges and right angles to that, like a little entranceway maybe. And then it's slightly covered with sand and dust here to the left, like a sand dune that's moved across it. And then on the top it's got what looks like a triangular carved out pattern there, and in it a little dark spot. So check that out. Nice well defined edge to it, nice rounded corner. Oh, what could these things be? Here we've got what looks like multiple layers again. The smaller part on top is about 6 meters wide. It appears that that might be a narrow opening over there. And then to the right of that multiple layered object, we've got that long, narrow rectangular block, which is about 3 meters wide and about 8 meters long. So what have we got here? Top of a little structure again. Then we're looking at a strange oval spherical object over here, and that measures about 6 meters across that way there. It's got this dome-like appearance to it. Again, multiple parts or layers to this. That measures about 14 meters across, and on top of it we've got the smaller parts. Check out the long, narrow one here to the bottom as well. Very similar to those that Joe from Space Detective 1 featured in one of his recent videos, with these stones that seem to be stacked on top of one another. And then another one of these that looks like some type of hanger, strange design to it. Found many of these as well. That measures about 12 meters across. This nice rounded side comes up to an apex over there. These anomalies over here are to the left of this crop, and it's got some more. And now we've got more alignment of smaller parts or protrusions on top of larger structures. So that there, this is about, let's see, 12 meters across, and it's got these two smaller parts on it. And then here we've got another pile of junk right there in the center, and makes it interesting is it also has this little object on top and another part sticking off down to the bottom over there on that piece. So check that out. Another multiple-sided object on the top, and then this narrow disc-like piece sticking out of that larger object over there. This item here measures about 12 meters across, and it's got a very weird rectangular part carved out of it there, and then to the side over here, almost like a monolith sticking up into the Martian atmosphere there. Check that out. Look at the large shadow that's being cast. So some type of little sculpture or monument. And there's another similar one. This is from Return to Protonillus on Mars, and it's about the same size and shape. That smaller object over there, measuring about 6 meters across, has another one of these little domes or spheres on it, right in its center. There's another one of these rather strange pumpkin seed shaped objects, and it's about, let's see, 15 meters long, and on its surface it's got some really strange features. Check that out there. It's almost like a donut shape to it. This here seems to be carved out. In it we've got that small little sphere. Then we've got 4 dark spots. Those look like holes possibly, and then this part there in the center. And then we're looking at a very unusual anomaly over there that measures about 15 to 18 meters across, and it's got these 2 darker spots that have been carved out of it there. It looks rather strange. Even that there looks as if it is slightly carved out as well. There's another one of these larger objects with a smaller dome-like feature in its center, and the larger base measures about 12 meters across, and it's got this flattened dome-like feature right there in its center, and it seems to be open to the right over here as well. And this is another one of those triangular objects. Each side is about 6 meters long, and it seems to be lying on a disc over there. Then this item right there in the center measures about 15 meters across. This design looks almost like fish gills. Check that out. We've got 2 bent in that direction to the left, 2 bent in that direction to the right. So, fossil or just natural geology, rather strange. Okay, yeah, we're looking at this long narrow object over there, which is about 18 meters long, and then parallel to it another shorter piece over there. Looks almost like a cactus that has fallen over, and then that part which seems to be pressed in. Rather weird. And that's also a very unusual object. I haven't seen any like that yet. And then we're looking at that object over there, which is about 12 meters across. This piece looks almost like metallic debris. Look at the part coming off like a little winglet on this one side. And that there too looks like a little wing lying on top of that larger piece. And got a circular depression over there. So we're looking at some type of wreck technology over there, or some type of wreckage. Here we've got another triangular object, and each side is about 6 meters long. And then towards its apex, right through its center line there, we've got that dark oval spot. In this crop, we've got two very large objects. Check out that one there in the center. More multiple parts on top of a larger piece, and that there's about 15 to 18 meters across. We've got 4 of these smaller objects on the top. This also looks very much like a partial hexagon-shaped object. We've got very straight edges again. Looks very artificial in nature, and then on top the 4 smaller parts, triangular in design. And there's another one, just another example. This is from Return to Reconnaissance on Mars. Also about 15 meters across, and it's got smaller parts on the top. Very similar to these on the left. Okay, then we're looking at that part over there, which is about 18 meters long, consisting of 2 parts. The top piece has this oval part carved into it, and it's got this line going through the top third. Very similar to some of those that are featured in the past, also from Return to Reconnaissance on Mars. Also an object consisting of 2 parts, the left third and the 2/3 to the right. Also has a line separating the 2 sides, and instead of an oval area being carved out of this one, we've got that oblong feature in its center there. Now we're looking at another little cube over there that measures about 4 by 6 meters, and in its center we've got that protrusion or knob casting that shadow. Got straight edges, 90-degree angles to this piece as well. And here we'll be looking at another semicircular object. This one's about 15 meters long and about 6 meters wide, and in its center we've got that long narrow part over there, and that looks like a little hole that's been cut into it there. This object to the right looks very similar to some others that I'll show you. It's got this rounded design to it, and then on top, following the line of that design, we've got that smaller part there. Here's another one measuring about 15 meters across and about 6 meters wide, and in its center we've got that little protrusion or knob over there. So there they are side by side for comparison. This one looks a little more eroded than that one. This piece over here seems to have 2 little triangular objects on top of it, and that's about 6 meters wide. Check out the 2 little triangles over here. Got parallel lines, 90-degree angles to that as well. And there's a similar one. This is from Return to Reconnaissance on Mars. Check out the strange similarities there. Here we're looking at this object over there, which is about 8 meters wide by about 14 meters long. Look at the strange design to this piece. This seems to be carved out over here like a step, and it's got this oval dark spot on it. I wonder if this is another little dome-like feature casting that shadow. Here's another little cube measuring about 6 by 6 meters, consisting of 2 parts. It looks like this piece in the sunlight over there is underneath this larger piece. Got nice straight well-defined edges to it as well. This is from our video part 2, alignments and strange objects found near Euripus Mons on Mars, with more layering going on in that design as well. This larger piece at the bottom, also a very smooth, flat surface with straight edges and right angles to it. And then we're looking at alignments of smaller knobs or protrusions on this object, which is about 8 meters across. Got these 3 dark spots on it, and then that part over there also has a little hole drilled into it there. This object is about 6 meters across, and it has a little conical feature on the top, and it's also in its center. And yeah, side by side, I've included 3 of those featured in this video for comparison. Got the smaller parts in the centers of the larger objects. Now we're looking at a narrow rectangular object over there, about 6 by 12 meters, and it looks like this part to the right might be an opening. Look at the smooth flat surface to this object. That's about 14 by 14 meters, and through the center line we've got that dark spot. And yeah, for comparison, we've got 2 more examples that I'll cover shortly. Look at the smooth, bright surface on this object, measuring about 12 by 12 meters. And I speculate that might be another piece like it over there that's partially covered in sand and dust. And then for comparison, 2 more examples of those that are covered now in this video. Then we're looking at this weird object here. It looks almost like metallic wreckage or sheet metal that's been bent up. That piece is about 6 meters wide by about 12 meters long. Look at the shape over here. Got 90-degree angles over here to the side. Parallel lines running through there. It looks as if it's dented in on the side over here. Looks very metallic in nature. This cube over here measures about 10 by 10 meters. We've got 2 very smooth flat surfaces to it, straight edges, 90-degree angle over there, and a strange little triangular part to the bottom over here. Something sticking out of what could be an opening here to the right. It's also slightly elevated. I wonder if this is part of a machine or another one of these little structures. And there's one that we covered at the beginning of the video just for comparison. Very smooth surfaces, check that out. This little object over here seems to be raised on the one side, and it's about 6 meters across. A little dark spot on it as well near the apex of that design, and it looks as if it's elevated as well to the right. It looks almost like a hatch that's open. Not that it is, but we can only speculate. Another object with a little part in its center, and this one is about 6 meters across, and the part in the center there is about 2 meters across. So these are always in the centers. Very strange. Then this strange object over here to the top. Found a couple of these already. That's about 6 meters wide by about 12 meters tall. And it's got this strange design to it. We've got a larger rounded part to the bottom, and then the smaller rounded part to the top. Almost like a figure 8. And then right there we've got that dark spot. And some symmetry and geometry going on here too. Got the 2 dark halves over here through the center line. Got that raised area there. As some other examples, this is from huge disk west of Ross on Mars, the larger rounded part, with the smaller rounded part coming off to the side. This also looks very similar as well. And then this object, also about 8 meters wide, 12 meters tall, from weird craft and structure artifacts found in Kotka crater on Mars. Another one of these partially raised megalithic blocks or slabs. It's about 12 meters across. Straight edges, right angle over there, and then a rectangular part carved into its surface, and then it's got this little oval protrusion or knob in the center of that carved out area there. More smaller objects on top of larger base structures. This piece over here is about 12 meters across, and on top of it we've got that little rectangular feature there. It's got a hole in it, got another little hole on the side here, parallel lines, check that out, right angles there, very geometric. And there's other examples. This is from Return to Reconnaissance on Mars, showing more smaller structures on a larger base. Then over here, that looks like a little disc measuring about 6 meters in diameter with a dark spot in the center. I don't know if that's a little shadow that's being cast there. Here we're looking at this triangular piece. That's about 6 meters wide by about 10 meters tall, and it's got this circular object in its center that looks like it could be a hole next to it. Otherwise, that's the shadow that's being cast. But that's got such a well-defined edge, I think that might be a hole. This piece over here also has a little object on it that measures about 15 meters across, and this little piece over here, that's about 6 meters long. Got this narrow part, or it looks like a disc over there with a narrow part on the left. Looks almost like half a propeller over here with a hole there. This looks almost like a piece of a propeller with the one blade over here, little hole there in the center of the round part. And then look at the arc to this side over here. Very, very well defined edge as well. Looks very artificial. Okay, yeah, we've got another huge rectangular megalithic slab or block. This is about 10 meters across by about 12 to 15 meters tall. Then in its center, this rectangular part looks as if it's been carved into this one side, and then this piece to the top looks as if it's bent down, but look at the geometry in that rectangle over there. And then somehow arranged on top of it, we've got this little crescent shaped object over there. It's also got a raised center to it, like a little dome. So what are we looking at there? Maybe some wreckage, destroyed tech, or maybe a weird structure of some sort. Otherwise, just geology again. And there's another example, that's from Return to Reconnaissance on Mars. Also have this rectangular part carved out in the center over there. That's it for part 1 of more artifacts west of Ross on Mars. Stay tuned for part 2. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye for now.